So for those of us who do not know who are you and what do you do?
Man, I go by Shor TD. I'm a musician. I did rap for a lot of years. You know, I'm a vocalist in a band, Open Addiction, and I'm half of a pop group too called Trap Soul. So kind of a lot of things in the music world.
Where are you from?
Originally, I'm from Las Cruces, New Mexico. Lived in Vegas till I was like 8. Then moved out here till after high school. Then lived in Florida for like 8 years and just moved back not too long ago. So I'm kind of everywhere.
Yeah. Tell us about your childhood growing up.
We grew up pretty poor, trailer park type shit in Henderson, Nevada, which is like an outskirt of Las Vegas. Grew up there till I was like 7. Moved out here. Kind of my family started doing better out here. You know, kind of went into from low class to middle class, and then I moved out when I was 17. Just been thugging it on my own.
Are there any stories about you facing any type of adversity when you was growing up?
Yeah, man. I mean, I had drug addicted parents, both of them. My dad was in and out of jail most of my life. I didn't see a lot of him when I was younger. My mom, she had her issues too, but by the time I got older, they straightened up. Now they're both a big part of my life. But growing up, I was grandma and grandpa. That's who raised me, type stuff.
When were you at your lowest point in life? Like, how did you get out of that?
Music, man. This was always a hobby, but then it turned into kind of a therapy for me.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that I couldn't put into words just to tell people, I was able to put into lyrics and create songs out of it. And that was kind of a way to get a lot of stuff off my chest and really open up my mind more to think, it's not just all a pity party against me. Everybody, there was other people resonating with the stuff I was saying. So it kind of made me feel like I wasn't alone. So I feel like that's a big part of music to me is I don't care if I make $1 doing it, but if someone comes to me and says, hey, man, that song really helped me through a hard day, I win at the end of the day. So I think that's really what helped me kind of get out of a lot of the dark times of my life.
So you started creating music when you was a teenager in high school, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I recorded my first song when I was like 15, but I've been writing since I was like 11, 12. My dad was a musician. He was in a band. You remember the show Star Search? Back in the day, he won that. He got like a record deal, him and his band, and then I saw how easy they messed that up. But I grew up in studios. Like, when I was around my dad, we was always in the studio. I was watching them, record and stuff. So, like, it's always been instilled into me. It's something I just wanted to do since my earliest memories,
Yeah. So, when did you start pursuing, like, albums and creating full-fledged albums and being like, man, I want to get paid off for this one day?
Man, in high school, one of my buddies, he was just like, he's still one of my best friends to this day. This is how we met. He came up to me, he's like, hey, you rap? And I was like, yeah. He's like, me too. I'm going to take you to the studio after school. I was like, all right, bet. Went to the studio. We made a couple songs, and they got a buzz real quick around the school. So I was like, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I can do this. And it just kept elevating from there.
Where did life take you after that?
Well, when I was 18, I got a record deal with White Music. Lil White, he signed me, and that's when I moved to Florida because they had a headquarters out there. My deal only lasted maybe 9 months before it was terminated. It wasn't a good deal. I wasn't happy with it. They weren't happy with it. I saw what they can do, and I realized I could do it myself, so I just went independent. And then tried doing it in Florida for a few years. Wasn't working out. The talent pool out there is just different. It's not my type of music either, So I came back down here and created my own label and just been rocking ever since.
So Lil White from Memphis?
Yeah, 3-6 Mafia, Lil White. Yep.
Did you listen to him when you grew up?
Oh yeah.
He's magnificent, isn't he?
Oh yeah, man. I actually can't sing as far as, but yeah, I opened up for him when I was 17, and I ended up doing a feature with him the next day, and then like 2 weeks later, they offered me a contract.
Wow.
Yep.
That's pretty interesting, bro.
Yep.
From there, you just been rocking out with your own label here, independent.
Yeah. Yep.
How has your experience been in the local music scene here in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Amazing. It used to be terrible out here, man. There used to not be a hip hop scene. Thanks to the homie Spider. He started throwing a lot of shows. I came back from Florida. I started throwing a lot of shows. We linked up. We threw some shows together. We worked together a lot. And I think with what he did and the little bit of help that I had, the scene kind of blew up way quicker than we thought it would. And now it's actually almost something. So the experience has been beautiful. Just watching the growth from nothing to where it's at now, I love it.
One of the biggest obstacles a lot of rap artists run into around this area. Local scenes everywhere, really. But except in the main music hubs
Yeah.
where rap is totally accepted at,
Right.
Atlanta, Texas,
Dallas,
Dallas,
yeah,
wherever.
yeah.
But getting paid from shows is a big thing. What do you think is holding artists back from getting paid from shows?
Well, as somebody who throws shows, you got to understand it's an investment, and in order to pay an artist, you got to have a return on that investment. So if the artist ain't bringing any money in, and they just expecting a payment at the end of the day, that don't make no sense for the promoter, for the venue. You know what I'm saying? Now, on the other hand of that, if the artist brings in 20 people with them, even if it's just 20 people at $5 a head, give the artist half of what he brought in off the door at least. You know what I'm saying? Or what I did is I started throwing my own shows. I was taking the door, and I was throwing the artist something, depending on how many people they brought in. But it is you got to be marketable. You got to be a brand. If you ain't bringing revenue in, it's hard to see revenue come back to you. That's the way. That's why I think rappers don't really get paid how they should when they perform, because they show up with their baby mama and two dudes and they want $500 when they leave. You know what I'm saying? You brought $15 in the door and you ask for free tickets too, so they can get in for free. So how am I supposed to pay you? You know what I'm saying? So it's tricky, but we trying to fix it. We're trying to fix it. We're trying to make sure everybody get paid what they supposed to get paid.
During this time that we living in, man, it's a lot of negativity that goes on online, man. It make it so easy. Online, the internet make it so easy for people to be negative. How do you handle negativity like online? Like if somebody is really criticizing your music or you as a person, how do you handle that?
Man, I'm no stranger to that. I've always looked like this. I've always talked like this. I've always had the same demeanor I always had, and people call it cocky. People call it, say I need to be humble, which as I'm getting older, I realize they may be right. But I've had a lot of negativity, a lot of criticism, and it's hard to ignore it, but that's the best way to do it. Just ignore it. Even when I posted a reel of me rapping, 10 good comments and then one hater, that one hater gonna make me forget those 10 good comments. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna remember any of the 10 things that were nicely said about me. I'm gonna remember what was mean to me though. So it's real hard, but you just gotta try to ignore that. Just skip past that one. Out of sight, out of mind. That's how I do it.
What is your philosophy? Like, do you have any rules that you set up for yourself that helps you get through life? Like any obstacles that life has to throw at you, or dealing with people? Do you have rules that you have for yourself that help you deal with different types of people with different personalities?
100%, man. I'm real big on vibes and energy. So like I could tell usually within the first couple minutes of talking to somebody, I could tell, how their vibe is, how their energy is, and then I'll act accordingly. I'll kind of mimic their vibe. If they're nice, they're nice. They mean, I'm mean. You know what I'm saying? It's been something I've always done. Like I try to match vibes. You know what I'm saying? And that has helped me get through a lot of stuff. I got bad social anxiety, which is weird for an artist. The only time I don't have it is when I'm on stage. So it's always me like a constant struggle trying to match the vibe of the room or match the vibe of the person I'm talking to. But that's really what does it for me. That's what helps me get through a lot of the social anxiety and a lot of relationships I got to deal with doing this.
Yeah. I had a little bit of that too as well.
Yeah.
Like, I had to, it really came from, being worried about if you making, what type of impression you making on another
100%.
person. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Too worried about what other people are thinking about you.
Right.
I think that's my downfall in it.
Yeah. That's where a lot of that came from for me.
Because as an artist, you always got to worry about your image.
You do.
You know what I'm saying? If people don't like you as a person, they're not going to like your music 90% of the time,
Real talk. Have you ever been part of any rap groups?
Yeah. Back in the day, we had one called Sit and Spin when we were like 17. My label was always kind of been called a group. It was TWM, the World's Mind Entertainment. But it used to be like 20 of us, then it got down to like 5, and now it's just 3 of us right now. You know what I'm saying? But that's part of the game, man. It's all love to everybody still, Everybody just doing their own thing these days. So I don't think groups really work too much like how they used to.
Why is that? Why you think that?
Difference of opinions probably is a lot to do with it. Everyone has a different vision. It's hard to find 5 people with the same exact vision that want to do things the same way. So, and people can't put their pride aside and listen to people, but it is what it is, Migos did it. You know, they prove it could still be done. So
Man, speaking of Migos and just commercial rap in general, you know, since rap, since like, ever since Tupac and Biggie and them, ever since they died, you've been hearing about rappers die all the time, on the commercial side and local, the local rappers as well. Like lately in the news, I've been seeing all these rappers, these top tier rappers going to jail, you know what I'm saying, for RICOs and things like that, man. It has a lot to do with the entourage,
right,
and following what the crowd wants.
right.
You know what I'm saying? If a lot of people mentioning you on the internet saying you need to do something about this, you need to do something about that,
It's like that whole slide for Vaughn thing with Lil Durk. Like
you saw
he
see what
got
I'm saying?
he got baited into probably going to jail for the rest of his life. You know,
Like, how do you feel about that? Like,
it's crazy to me, man. Like I used to be stupid. I used to run the streets. I used to get in a lot of trouble. You know, I ain't been to jail in many years. You know, as you get older, you mature. You realize that life ain't nothing but a box or a jail cell. Sometimes when you're so deep in that life and you're so entranced into that image, there's no maturing out of it, and that's what happens. Jail cell or a box. So eventually, it's gonna catch up to you. It always does. I think these rappers, they do it mostly just to portray an image that they don't really want to live like. But since you live in that image so hard, that image is gonna come back and bite you. So that's my take on it. Pretty much, it's like you said, you almost get baited into it. You see all the comments online, like it makes you do stupid stuff.
real talk. What are you doing to mitigate that with your label?
Man, the people I hang out with, man, we're all old, fat. We've been doing music 15 years. We done been in the streets. We done been to jail too many times. My buddy Ghost, my producer, my manager pretty much, he always tells me, man, be safe. When we go to these shows, he don't really go to the shows, but he's like, man, be safe. Don't be an idiot. You know what I'm saying? You're too old. You got kids now. Be safe. And that's, I keep that in my head all the time. I'm not out here to be stupid. I'm not out here to go to jail. I'm not out here to look cool. I'm out here to do my art, collect my check, be safe, and go home to my family. And I try to preach that to even the younger dudes that we have on the label that, that look up to us. I'm not telling you to go out there and be a square or nothing. Go enjoy yourself, but be safe,
Well said. Man, I want to ask your opinion about something that's totally off topic. I had Big Low come up here and we did we sat and talked. And
Shout out Big Low.
Shout out to Big Low. Shout out Big Low. He at one point during his interview, he was making a point about how insignificant humans are in the grand scheme of things. He was giving examples. He was like, if Yellowstone wanted to erupt, there's nothing we can do about it. And he mentioned if the world wanted to stop spinning, we'd be done. And I posted that clip. I posted a clip of that interaction we had when he was talking about that on TikTok. And I saw a comment from a guy, and he was like, I was with him until he said something about the earth would stop spinning. And then he said, I can't believe that grown men still believe that the earth is round and spins. Bro, that's the first time I've ever seen. This is the first time I've interacted, because I have to, I'm behind the NWA local music. I'm interacting with everybody on the social media websites. That was the first time I saw a flat earther. You know what I'm saying? That's the first time I saw coming from a flat earther or had
awesome.
any type of interaction.
That's awesome.
Bro, how you feel about people that still think that?
So there's a UFC fighter from Arkansas named Bryce Mitchell. Used to be a huge fan of him, man. Used to be. Then I found out he was so deep on this flat earth stuff, man. Like, so hardcore. He said, I could prove to you right now that the earth doesn't spin. He said, take a helicopter, fly it up, stay in the same spot for 3 hours, come back down, you'll land in the same spot. And he said, I just proved everyone wrong. And I just thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. It took everything. I typed out a paragraph like this. It took everything in me not to hit send. I deleted it. But man, there's so much science to prove y'all wrong. Like, I don't get it. I get it. I'm all for conspiracies. You know, not everything they teach us is true, in my opinion. But that's not one of them. You trying to tell me that every space agency across the world and everybody that works there is all in on this elaborate lie? Everybody. There's like 30 countries with space programs, and they all lying? It don't make sense. That's my take on that, man. That's crazy.
Man, I was bawling. I was just laughing. Didn't really know how to respond to the guy.
Like, you can't talk sense in those people, man.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, you know, they not stupid.
Nah,
they just
they
ignorant.
probably smarter than us, honestly. That's
right.
why they see it from a different angle. But
right.
you know, just because you have a different opinion don't mean you wrong or you dumb. But it's crazy to me sometimes. Still, it's crazy to me.
Right. Man, I want to know, what's your relationship with money, like budgeting and financial literacy?
Man, we literally, when we started, we were doing this with nothing for like years. Like, we were just scraping by, just no marketing budget, no really promo budget, doing our own recording. You know, we didn't have money to go to the studio. We recorded everything ourselves, made all our own cover art. And eventually we started seeing like our quality was good, but it wasn't professional quality. That's when we really started allocating ourselves a budget. We weren't going to just drop and see what happens. Like, we had to have a certain amount before we could drop, you know, for marketing, for Facebook ads, for YouTube placements, you know what I'm saying? And once I realized that's how you really get successful. It's so rare just for you to drop something and it take off. That's when we really started paying attention to the financial side of the whole business. You know, it used to be luck is what we banked on luck. Now, ain't no such thing as luck in this industry anymore. I mean, there is, but it's like winning the lotto, you know what I'm saying? You don't see it every day. So financially, we decided to start taking our finances real serious with the label. And our numbers have gone way up. You know, all of our Spotifys are in the thousands now instead of the teens like it used to be. You know, like, you really got to have a budget to do this. And not a lot of artists realize that. They think they can just do it with nothing. And you can, you know, but you ain't going to get far.
Man, you know, life has this tendency to, you know, pull you in different directions. You know, sometimes you don't have any idea where you're going. But then sometimes you do have an inkling. You kind of know, you know, what your future is going to look like, your near future at least. Mm-hmm. Where is life pulling you? Like, where do you see yourself in the next few years, 10 years? Where do you see yourself at?
Man, if everything goes the way we're wanting it to, I'm gonna be touring for the next 10 years. That's my 10-year plan. Start in 5 years, tour for 5 years, and retire. Me and my buddy Ghost, we have a band with my other buddy Donley. We're the two vocalists. He does all the music, and we're really banking on this new album we're getting ready to drop to really kind of push us in that direction. It's metal, pop, rock, rap, all in one album. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we can get enough positive feedback and enough buzz off of that we can start booking our shows and getting stuff ready for the next year or two. And I'm thinking if we do things right, that's where I'll be in about 10 years. It's getting off my last tour and settling down my family. Early retirement.
What is something about you that your fans wouldn't think that you do or like? Like, do you have
country music?
You like country?
I'm such like a chopper fast like trap rapper. I love country music, man. Like, if I could sing better than I can, I would be a country artist. I would not be a rapper, man. I love the twang of the country music. I hated it growing up. Hated it. As I got older, man, it just started resonating with me, you know? Like, shit, my bills are due too, you know what I'm saying? My truck broke down too. I like this song, you know? I started messing with country heavy after that, and not a lot of people know that. It's funny because one of my friends from high school knew me, like, growing up rapping, always listening to rap, and we were on a job site together, and he came in, I was listening to some country, and he's like, damn, bro, you're cultured. He's like, I didn't know you even knew who this was. I'm like, man, I love me some country. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that about me. You wouldn't know it unless you were like real close, because I don't even tell people that usually. Gonna mess up my rap image now.
Man, I love country too, bro.
I do too,
yeah,
man.
I love it.
Something about living in Arkansas, it just grows on you.
Yeah, real time. Man, what do you want your legacy to be?
I just want like I said earlier, man, I just want to be able to create some music that even if I don't get financially rich off of it, I'll get mentally rich off of it because every time someone sends me that message, be like, "Hey, man, that song really helped me through this day." I save it and I put it in a folder. And anytime I need any motivation or I'm not in a good headspace, I'll go read that folder and it'll just put me where I need to be. So as long as I keep putting out art that can resonate with people and help people get through the times that I had that I was talking about, help them find a peaceful solution to it. That's all I want. That's my legacy.
What has been your biggest accomplishment in life?
Man, probably raising my son first. Um, getting out of the life I used to be in, man. I used to be in the streets heavy, I used to go to jail all the time. I used to do a lot of stupid stuff. And, once that little boy looked at me, and I realized he ain't gonna want to see me behind bars or I don't want to raise him through glass, I changed my life for the better and I think that's my biggest accomplishment.
What advice do you have for people like in those types of situations that you were in, like in jail, going in and out of jail and messing with the drug life, you know what I'm saying? Well, not to say that you were, I don't
I
want
was.
to. Okay.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, in the drug life, because I mean, if you're in the streets, you associated with drugs some kind of way, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've been so close to it, I damn near feel like I've been in it.
Right.
But I I don't want to make this about me, but I try to stay away from it as
100%.
much as possible.
You have to.
Even growing up in, when you grow up in an environment, it's hard to get out of that.
That's all you know. It's all you know.
It's hard to get out of it because a lot of us.
When I turned 15, the person that was raising me gave me a scale and a sack. So this is how we make money in this family, And when you brought up and that's all you see, that's all you know. You don't think there's nothing wrong with it, Like you said, environment has a lot to do with it, man.
Right. I was headed that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, myself. And I say that to it comes back to the question, like, what advice would you have for people in situations like I was, like a kid that was around it and trying not to get into it, making it, because you come to those crossroads. You're like, man, should I do this because they doing it and it looked lovely? You know what I'm saying? Or should I, go the legit route? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you have to say for a person that's at that crossroad right now?
I would say skip to the last chapter. Don't read that book because the last chapter never ends right. Skip to the last chapter when you're feeling like that and see how it turned out for everybody else that was in that position. And that'll make you change your mind.
What advice do you have for musicians who feel like they're unmotivated? Like, because some people, they get to the point to where if they ain't making immediate returns on their money, on their music, they want to quit.
100%.
They like, I'd rather go get a job.
If you making music to make money, stop making music. You know what I'm saying? This ain't a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich really, really slow if you're really, really lucky scheme. So if you're in it for the money and that's your only motivation, you ain't in it. You ain't in it for the right reasons and you ain't gonna have fun doing it. Cause I've been doing this since I've been doing this 17 years now, man. I just started making money off my music in the last legit money in the last 5 years, maybe. So there's 12 years where I wasn't making nothing and I was spending everything I had trying to get to a point where I can make something, and it's not a good return on investment. I definitely haven't made back what I've spent on my career. So, and I'm considered halfway successful locally out here. Like I'm one of the few artists that do get paid to perform, and I still ain't getting close to how much money I put in my career that's came out of it yet. So maybe in the next 10 years it'll start balancing out, but it ain't no get rich quick scheme. So that can't be your motivation. It can't be.
To get to the point to where you are making money on shows, like how did you get to that point for people that's trying to be there?
I started throwing my own shows and packing them out. Because that's really what it is. As someone throwing shows as a promoter, you look at how many heads an artist is bringing in. So once people saw me throwing my own shows and selling out the venue, like we had fire marshals coming and telling us we had cap, we gotta start kicking people out. And those are like my first 5 shows I threw, like I just had it was timing really. I had a little bit of buzz and I had a good set of friends that had a lot of friends and they made sure all my shows were packed out. And once other promoters and stuff started seeing that, then they would be like, hey, we'll pay you to bring the crowd that you bring to your shows. We'll pay you to come perform, just, pack some people out. So as long as you can bring heads in, you'll get money. There's no reason not to. But it was just really just luck and timing for me on that point, because I'll throw shows where sometimes there's 20 people, and then a week later I'll throw a show in the same venue and it's 250 people. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's just a roll of the dice. But I was lucky enough to hit sevens, like 5 times in a row. So
How much do you love performing? Like when you get into that zone, like
it's like, I mean, like I say, I used to be into drugs and stuff like that, but performing on stage is the highest high you'll ever feel in your life. When I opened for with THC, I opened for Snoop Dogg at JJ's in front of 3,000 people, biggest crowd up to that point. Man, as soon as I left that stage, that's the only thing I thought about is how to get back on that stage. It's like a crackhead. As soon as they get done hitting that crack, they want to find the next rock. That stage was the next rock for me, and that's all I fantasized. That's all I thought about, and it's crazy to me, man. It's the best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world. You can't buy that high.
what you got coming up next? What you did mention your project.
Yeah.
Tell us about your projects, anything you got coming up in the future.
We got my band that I'm in. We got a EP coming out called Life After Death. Our first single just dropped. It's called Like Whoa. It's out on all platforms. This is kind of like a genre mix-up album. It's with a live band, all live music. We're really, really excited for this. We worked really hard on this, man. We spent like one song we spent like 2 months on, and that's different for me because as a rapper I'll go to the studio and do 4 songs in a session, so like to spend 1 month on a song every day was crazy, but it really is a masterpiece, man. Shout out Ghost, my producer. He wrote all the music, and me and my buddy Donley were the lyricists and vocalists, and really excited for that. It's Life After Death, and it's dropping late November.
Did you and all the people you named, how did y'all meet?
Me and Donley, he came to one of my shows when I first went back, one of the ones that I packed out, and he wasn't even really into rap yet. He was a metalhead, and he saw the energy that we brought because we were like raging. That's the type of music I used to do, just like mosh pit rap type stuff. And he fell in love with it, and he was like, dude, I want to work with you. Like whatever I need to do, I want to be part of this. And he proved himself, and he's really talented, and I'm really glad that he saw that what we had going, and he made it way bigger than what I would have done by myself. And then my buddy Ghost, he's just an engineer, man, and he has some of the best quality that I've heard recording around here. So I just started linking up recording with him, and we just became real close friends. And he's like, dude, you're too talented for this. He's like, let's take this global. Let's make a major scale out of it. Let's do this band thing. Let's do everything we have to do to get you out there. And he's been in my corner since, just trying to push it. Shout out Ghost.
Shout out Ghost. Do you have any last words of wisdom for anybody out there? Anything that you want to get off your chest or anything like that?
Man, just treat people with love. That's all we need, man. I had to learn that, man. I used to be a cocky little asshole, but as soon as I started treating people with love and being humble and really respecting others, a lot of good things started happening for me. It made me start to believe in karma a little bit. So put love out in the world, love comes back to you. And I'm really starting to believe that. So I think other people should maybe follow suit too.
If people want to get in contact with you, how would they?
Man, all social media platforms is Shor TD the King. Follow my Twitch at In the Clouds 4200. We're trying to do some gaming stuff, man. Trying to get as much content as we can out there. YouTube, Shor TD. Facebook, Shor TD. I like talking to my fans, man. DM me. Don't be afraid. I love everybody, man.